In this HVACR training video, we're going over the preparation of a new recovery tank in order to add refrigerant into it. So what we need to do is we need to vent the nitrogen charge off of this, and then we need to pull a vacuum on the tank, and we're going to use a vacuum gauge in order to verify our vacuum. So here we go. Before we get started, I just want to share that we have our recovery section in our refrigerant charging and service procedures for air conditioning book. So this book is spiral bound. It's available over at our website at acservicetech.com, and the full outline is available over there as well. And we have quick reference cards that can be used out in the field for refrigerant charging and troubleshooting. So here we have a recovery tank with about 25 psi of pressure. It's new, it just got dropped off from the distributor, so I know that that is a nitrogen charge. And then on the tank we have a tare weight, 28.1. So we can put this on the scale and verify it only weighs 28.1. There is no liquid refrigerant in this, and this is only nitrogen. So before we hook up our vacuum setup, I'm going to vent this nitrogen out. So I'm just going to close this handle for a sec. So the nitrogen charge on a new bottle may be anywhere from say 0 to 100. A lot of times it's only 5 or 10 psi. So you just got to vent that off first, and now we're going to hook up our vacuum setup. I'm going to also go ahead and close this now just to make sure we don't have any humid air entering the tank. And I'm going to go ahead and set everything up. And on our hose here, this is 1/2 inch hose, and this is a 1/4 inch adapter, and this is once again our 1/2 inch hose with a 3/8 adapter. So I'm going to hook up right here onto our recovery tank. The blue handle is basically, it's open with the port right over here to the top of the tank, whereas the red handle and the port connected there runs down to a dip tube to the bottom of the tank. So we're going to be hooking our vacuum gauge up onto this red handle. And on this vacuum pump right here, this is only a 4 CFM vacuum pump, but this will work pretty well for just doing our recovery tank. We're just going to attach our hose. Now we want to make sure that all of our hose connections and ports, basically everything's snugged down, and we're going to open up both of our handles here. We're going to turn our vacuum gauge on. And we want to make sure that the units it's set in is in microns. And so we want to make sure to get our recovery bottle down below 500 microns before adding any refrigerant into the tank. If we allow air into the tank and mix that with the refrigerant, what's going to happen is we're going to have a much higher pressure than what it should be. So we are set on microns. I'm going to turn the vacuum pump on now. At this point, we're going to go ahead and shut this valve. And then we're going to turn our vacuum pump off. And we just want to make sure that our vacuum level doesn't rise. And what I'm going to do is, because I'm not going to be using this recovery bottle right away, I'm actually going to be using that in a couple days. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of refrigerant into this tank in order to raise it up above 0 psi. And so we're holding our 290 microns right now, and so I'm going to bring another bottle over to break the vacuum. Here we have an existing R22 bottle that is almost full of R22. And here we have a new recovery bottle that's vacuumed down. So what I really want to do here is I want to show you that this bottle is not contaminated with any air. So the surrounding air temp right now is 78 degrees surrounding this bottle. So if we check the pressure and we convert it to saturated temperature, you see our saturated temperature is actually about 75 degrees. So we know we just have R22 inside. Also, this is existing refrigerant, right? So I'm going to pull from my vapor side, so I just get my R22 off the top. All I'm doing is breaking the vacuum on this bottle because I'm waiting to use this bottle till later. I just want to get it ready for recovery. So I'm just bringing this bottle pressure up above 0 psi. So our vacuum's held at 280 microns. It's been about 10 minutes now, and I want to explain to you what's happening. I'm going to break this vacuum with refrigerant from this recovery bottle. I want to use this for an R22 system. I want to recover the refrigerant out of a system, but I'm not going to do it for several days, so I want to make sure that I'm going to break this vacuum with refrigerant. You don't want to store this while holding a vacuum. You just want to make sure you get it up above 0 psi. And so I'm going to use the R22 in this bottle to add some into this bottle. So I want to make sure that my handles are shut and my hoses are connected. I'm going to attach my yellow service hose right into this port right here. And so the blue handle is attached to the top of the tank where that's where vapor is. And so if I close my handles, open this up, I want to make sure that I purge any air out of this hose before we get started. So I'm going to open this up. All right, so I'm going to head shut that, and we have our handle shut. I'm going to attach on, but I want to purge the air out here as well. Our handles are shut here, our air is purged here. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to go ahead and close this down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this. We don't need to put a whole lot in. We just need to make sure that it's above 0 psi. So there you go. We're at about, say, 2-3 psi right there. So that's going to be good enough. And we can go ahead and disconnect this, by the way. So anyway, we're above 0 psi. I'm going to shut this handle down. I'm going to close that. And so this bottle is ready to be put into the truck. And so we can use this for recovering our future R22 systems. We just want to make sure our tank is labeled so that we don't get it confused with an R410A tank. So you see we have about 7 psi, so we're in positive pressure. You don't have to break the vacuum with refrigerant from another bottle. You can break the vacuum with refrigerant from the unit that you want to recover the refrigerant charge from. But in this case, this bottle is just going to be here for future use. I'm going to have it labeled for R22. If you haven't got a chance to check out our book, make sure you check that out, and the full outline's available over at acservicetech.com. We have troubleshooting air conditioning systems. We go over other charging methods, the pump down procedure, system preparation. We go over refrigerant recovery machine setup, charging and recovery, and checking the refrigerant charge, as well as a lot more information. So make sure you check that out on our website at acservicetech.com. We also have this available over on Amazon. We also have other resources for you, such as our quick reference polystyrene cards. So these hold up real well and they can get thrown right in the service bag. So make sure you check all that out, as well as the free resources we have over at acservicetech.com. Hope you enjoyed yourself. We'll see you next time at AC Service Tech channel.